Hello everyone, myself Shashidhar Madishetty. I have 14 years of experience in the software industry and around 8 years experience into the software automation. Okay, and especially with respect to Tosca. Other 6 years I've worked with Selenium, Catalan Studio, Playwright, and other automation tools. But my majority of my experience is with respect to Tricentis Tosca automation tool. Okay, so this is about myself. Okay, and about our course structure. So today, before we begin, okay, so I just wanted to know your expectations on this training. Okay, so what is your expectation from this training before we get started, so that I'll give you an overview on what is that we would cover as part of our curriculum. Okay, how Tosca is important, or what difference does it make with respect to other automation tools. Okay, how beneficial is with Tosca over other automation tools. This is something that we would discuss. And also we will give you a list of all the topics that we would be covering as part of our training. Okay, and we will go through that. But before that, if you have any expectations from this or anything else that you would like to know from this session, we will discuss. Okay, and one another thing is there's no language barrier. I'll be able to understand Telugu, Hindi, and English. Okay, you please feel free to talk in any of these three languages. Okay, I'll be able to respond to you. Okay, yep. Any questions? If you have any questions, you can uh, raise your hand, or you can type it in the chat window, or you can speak up. Okay, yep. I see Arun has some question or some suggestion from his end. Arun, anything from you, sir? Arun? Ganesh? Anything? Hello? Arun, if you are speaking on mute. Can you please unmute yourself and speak? Okay. Okay. So you have Arun, what if there's a career gap? Is that your question, Arun? What if there's a career gap, and how? Okay, that is fine, Arun. No issues. So what if there is a career gap, and will you be able to cope up with this technology or this automation tool, and how you think the market would be, right? Okay, so two things here. One is everybody would have a career gap, okay, at some point of their time in their career. Okay, it's not compulsory that everybody would have a neat and clear career path. Okay, so first thing is we will focus on building your resume with respect to Tosca. Okay, second is we will try to project your profile as if we do have a uh, gap in the career, but we have utilized that time in getting proficient with respect to this particular technology. Okay, that is how we will project it to the company. Okay, and the company will never reject a candidate just because they have a career gap. Okay, because company is only willing to take candidate who has knowledge on the subject. Okay, they don't care if it is a career gap of any such reasons. Okay, the only concern would be from their side would be that they have a better understanding on the subject. Okay, and they would be able to clear the interview. Okay, as long as you can clear the interview and you are able to answer that question on why you have that career gap, okay, a valid answer or a genuine answer, there won't be any concern with respect to that. Okay, and if you are good with the subject that you are presenting in the interview, I don't think there would be any challenge with that, Arun. Okay, I hope I have answered your question. If there are any questions, you can ask in Telugu or Hindi. Okay, Telugu line అడగొచ్చండి. Okay, no problem. Anybody else? Any other questions? Any questions or any, what challenges you might face? ఈ క్వశ్చన్స్ అన్ని ఉంటాయి కదండి, కొత్త టెక్నాలజీ ఆర్ సంథింగ్ దట్ ఈస్ న్యూ, మీ ఎక్స్పెక్టేషన్స్ ఏమున్నాయి దీని మీద, so that we can take our session, okay, we can take our demo in that perspective. Ante, any other questions? Anybody? Yes, Ganesh. Okay, there's one another question from Arun. Okay, so before we get started with TOSCA, do we need any manual testing knowledge or automation knowledge? One thing is that you might need a basic knowledge on testing. Okay, you might need basic knowledge on testing that we would be covering as part of our initial sessions. Okay, as once we start discussing the curriculum, I will go over the topics that we would be covering as part of our software testing manual topics. Okay, once we wrap up the manual topics, then we will jump on to the automation of TOSCA. Okay, so we would be covering, so that would not be a problem. Okay, and we would give you a handwritten material that would help you in preparing for the interview with respect to manual and also the automation part. Okay, there won't be any challenge with respect to that. We will cover that as part of our curriculum. We will go over that curriculum. Okay, okay, is that good move to switch to TOSCA from Selenium? Okay, so if you are comfortable with coding, okay, if you are comfortable with coding, I don't think there is any challenge with respect to Selenium. Okay, and if there, but Selenium also does not offer all the features. Okay, it has challenges, lot of challenges when it comes to automating the desktop applications, when it comes to automating the mobile applications. There are multiple extensions that needs to be handled. Okay, all these concerns are with respect to Selenium, but Tosca does offer a wide variety of applications through its XScan. Okay, so I would say it's a good move to switch from Selenium to Tosca in the current market trend. Okay, because Tosca is also integrating the AI, they have a new feature called Vision AI that would help you identify the controls much better than the existing Tosca. So going forward, they would integrate more with respect to AI, and if you could see the current market trend tilting more towards AI, I would say switching to Tosca would be a better option. Okay. Okay, whom have a career gap, who want to start his career direct. Okay, you can directly start your career with Tosca. Okay, it's not that you have to have a previous understanding on something, or if you know how to book a ticket. Okay, if you know how to book how to order from an online application or from a web UI or something, then that knowledge is good enough for you to get started with Tosca. Okay, or rest of all that stuff, what is that needs to be done. Okay, what is a text box, what is drop down, and everything that will be taught during your sessions. Okay, we would start from basics of web UI, API, and database. Okay, it's not that we would I'll directly jump onto the UI and start automating things. We will discuss on the basics and then we will move on to the automation stuff. Okay, and right now, which Tosca version is going on? Currently, the stable version is 2025 version. Okay, and we would be covering our sessions in the 2025 version only. Okay, so I hope I've answered uh, career with Tosca. And then right now, which session is core SAP also mandatory to learn along with this Tosca? Okay, so there are multiple things that Tosca does. Okay, it will allow you to automate mobile applications. It will allow you to automate web applications, Windows applications, PDFs, Excel files, and everything. In all these, SAP application is also one of its kind. Okay, which Tosca can automate, which other automation tools are struggling to automate. Okay, learning SAP is not mandatory, because if you know the basics of Tosca, okay, the way you operate with any application is same. Okay, the way you operate with any application is same. So it is not mandatory that you learn SAP. Okay, but there are more opportunities when it comes to Tosca knowledge. Okay, they don't specifically look for SAP knowledge. It is an added advantage, but if you have Tosca knowledge, then it won't be a challenge in understanding the SAP application. SAP application is no different than any other application. It is just that it has its own way of dealing things. Okay, so if you have basic knowledge on the software, how does an application work, then I don't think it would be a challenge in understanding the SAP applications. Okay, can career gap employees take up Tosca training? Anybody can take up Tosca training. You don't have to write anything with respect to coding. Okay, it's a more advanced version of a codeless automation tool. Okay, Tosca is much more advanced. It has lot of libraries, inbuilt libraries. Okay, with which you can automate a web application or an API application or anything without writing a single piece of code. Okay, there are a lot of inbuilt modules, or what Tosca calls it as modules. Okay, that would help you automate things in a much better way without writing a single piece of code. Okay, so that's how Tosca has been projected right from day one. You don't have to write anything with respect to code. The only thinking that you would need is how logically you can come to that answer, or how you will be able to answer that, solve that problem, will be the one that you will be worried about. Okay, you don't have to write any syntax, you don't have to write any code. Okay, Tosca would help you with majority of the inbuilt automation modules that would help you automate any application. Okay, you don't have to focus only on the web, you don't have to focus only on the API, you don't have to focus only on the mobile application. Everything is a package in Tosca. Okay, any other questions? I'm just checking if I've answered all the questions. Okay, okay, if there are any questions, please do let me know. Okay, తెలుగులో అయినా పర్లేదండి, హిందీలో అయినా పర్లేదు. ఓకే, ఏ క్వశ్చన్ ఉన్నా చెప్పండి. I'll try to answer your questions. Okay, so if there are no questions, so what we would do is, see, this is our batch 3. Okay, so we have successfully rolled out 2 batches so far. Okay, and okay, so what we would start off with is, okay, hope no more questions. Okay, so what we would start off, I hope I've increased the font size. Okay, and that makes the vision clear there. Okay, so first we would start off with what is a software. Okay, this is how our curriculum goes as well. Okay, we will start off with what is a software. Okay, what are different types of softwares that are available, different types of software. Okay, we would start with software. We would not directly go for a TOSCA, or we would not directly go for something with respect to automation. We would start from the basics. Okay, the first 5 to 7 sessions would be basically on the software development, what happens in the software development, what happens in an organization. Okay, at least with the basics of software and software development, and more focused on the software testing. Okay, different types of software. Okay, what different types of softwares are available in the market. Okay, what is an application, what is a web application. Okay, what is a web application. Okay, how different are these two. Okay, what is a mobile application. Okay, or what are the different ways how they develop these applications. Okay, how do they follow the software development life cycle. Okay, what are the different phases of software development life cycle, and where does our testing part fills into this part, this whole life cycle. And then once we come out to this testing part, how testing, or what are the different ways of testing. Okay, and then we will discuss on what is regression testing, how testing is, why testing is important, why not take chances with respect to the development, why testing is important, or why it is important more in the AI trend. Okay, why is it important in the AI trend, all that we would discuss, and we would start writing the test cases. Okay, and then we will build our regression suits and everything, and then also we will see why automation is important. Okay, how does it save time. Okay, with automation what all can be achieved. Okay, everything we will discuss as part of our curriculum. Okay, and then we will come to what are the different options that we have with automation. Okay, what different options do we have. Okay, currently there are few things that are trending. Okay, and I'll show you the curriculum that we will be covering as part of our manual testing. Okay, we will go over the software testing. Okay, and then this would be our initial session, what is software testing, and its importance and the principles of software testing. Okay, and then we will discuss more detail on the software development life cycle, what happens in the software development life cycle. Okay, and most of these sessions would be practical sessions. There are no PPTs. Okay, there are no PPTs, something that I would present it on the screen and read it, and then you would have to understand it from the PPT. No, we would not discuss anything on the PPT. There are no PPTs for us. Okay, everything we would give you a live. Okay, with using the most used applications. Okay, using most frequently used applications that would help you understand better. Okay, we would use most recently used applications or most frequently used applications through which we will help you understanding testing concepts. Okay, and then we will discuss on different software testing types. Okay, and then different testing categories. Okay, so how we've come to this automation. Okay, what is the evolution of this automation or automation tools is something that we would come step by step. What is software, what is software development life cycle, what is software testing, importance of software testing inside the software development, and then what are the different types of software testing. In software testing, what is the importance of manual testing, where you would use the manual testing and where you would focus more on the automation testing. Okay, and then there are few things that, what is an agile model. Okay, we would discuss on scrum. Okay, this is more nothing related to your testing or automation, but we would have couple of sessions on the agile methodology. Okay, agile or scrum methodology, we will conduct some sessions around that would help you understand how an organization day-to-day activities function. Okay, and then we would start working on the test cases, test scenarios. Okay, how you plan on something testing, how do you design a strategy around that. Okay, and then some other topics related to testing that would help you understanding the testing topics. So this is not mandatory, but it is good to know before you start with TOSCA. Okay, so usually in the organization, nobody would prefer. Okay, it is not somebody that will be looking for especially an automation tester, because your work would include both your automation activities and manual activities. Okay, it's not that you would be a complete manual tester, you would not be a complete automation tester. Industry is looking for people who can do both, because there are some situations where you cannot automate few things. Okay, considering the applications complexity or other stuff. Okay, you may not automate few things, so in such cases a manual tester is always needed. So teams would not have two different teams. Okay, organization would not have two different teams, because one team would only focus on the manual and the other team would be focusing on the automation. No, it is not the trend currently. Okay, everybody has to do everything. Okay, that means a tester has to do both ways, by manual and through automation. Okay, he should be ready to automate things in case needed. Okay, so why industry is moving towards TOSCA is because of this reason, because teams already do have, okay, organizations already have their manual testers. Okay, who has more knowledge or abundant knowledge with respect to application that they are working on. Okay, what they do not have is the coding knowledge. Okay, for a long period of time they did not touch coding. Okay, for that reason they would not be able to code on par with the developers. Okay, so how TOSCA is going to help this situation is they will enable the manual testers to automate things. Okay, with just basic modules. They have something called as modules that would help you automate things without the need of knowing any automation language or any programming language. Without programming language, you would be able to automate things in TOSCA. Okay, that's the beauty of TOSCA. Okay, so why only TOSCA? Why not other automation tools? Okay, why TOSCA? Okay, is something that we would discuss. Everybody is talking about TOSCA. This has been there in the market for more than 9 years. Okay, it's not a new automation tool. Okay, why am I focusing that it is more than 9 years old is because it has evolved. It is not a new tool that there are still some features that has to be upgraded or something like that. It is an old tool, but people realized the importance of Tosca in recent 2 to 3 years only. Okay, because industry is moving towards the automation trend. Okay, it's not something new. Everybody wants to reduce their effort in terms of uh, uh, testing and in terms of their budget. Okay, so they wanted to reduce the budget, but at the same time they wanted to have a clean and much uh, defect free product. Okay, so how can they do it? They cannot hire new coders or new automation testers who have programming language, because they have to spend more on them. Okay, so what they are doing, they are training the existing manual testers using Tosca. Okay, because you don't have to write any code. No coding required. No coding is required to automate things. Okay, no code. Why Tosca? First reason is there is no coding required. Okay, you can automate any of your applications. Okay, you can automate any type of application. Okay, any type of application using your Tosca. Okay, on the counterpart, okay, we will discuss on the counterpart term later. Okay, then first is that there's no coding required. Then you don't need any framework that is needed. What is a framework? A framework is a set of code that is needed for you to start automating things. You need to have an initial setup. Okay, what are all the different pages? Okay, did I identify all these objects in those pages? That is the basic setup that is needed when you work with any other automation tool. Okay, that would not be needed with respect to Tosca. You don't need a framework. You don't have to spend a lot of time in preparing Tosca to automate things. If you have Tosca installed, you can start from day one. Okay, on within an hour you can start working with Tosca to automate things that are needed for you. Okay, so we call it plug and play framework. Plug and play automation framework. That means if it is available in your machine, you can start automating things. You don't have to depend on any architect to develop a framework. Okay, you don't have to prepare a strategy to start working with respect to Tosca. Everything is readily available. You just have to make use of those readily available modules and then start automating things. Okay, any type of application. Okay, what is any type of application? Is one, you can automate a web application. What is a web application? Anything that you access through browser. Okay, let's say you have this application, you have a demo web shop application, a kind of a replica of a retail uh, shopping application, shopping cart application. Okay, to automate this, okay, I can do it. This is a web application. Then you have something called as API. Okay, anything with respect to application programming interface, something that we will discuss as part of our manual testing basics. We will discuss on this API testing as well. Okay, and then you can automate your database. You can automate any database table. You can insert data into it. You can retrieve data from it. You can validate the data in it. Okay, you can automate mobile applications. Anything that you access through mobile is a mobile application. Okay, and then you can automate SAP applications. You can automate PDFs. You can automate Excel files. Okay, all these comes in as a bundle with respect to Tosca, which no other automation tool in the industry has. Some automation tools like you have Catalan Studio. Okay, it can only automate web, UI, and API. Okay. The other major feature of your TOSCA is it can automate desktop applications. What is a desktop application is, let's say I have something that is installed on my machine. Okay, let's say like GeoMeet. Okay, this is a desktop application. Okay, application which is executed using .exe file. I can automate a desktop application also. Okay, a similar application, because these applications are something that are used by the employees in an organization. Okay, let's say what are desktop applications is something that is new to you. Okay, so if you are working in an insurance industry, okay, desktop application, this is one major feature of TOSCA. Okay, so let's take a generic example of an Amazon. Okay, in Amazon, the website that you are seeing, okay, this is your web application. Okay, this is your web application. What is your web application? Is something that you are able to access through browser. What is my browser in this case? Edge is my browser. Usually we would use Chrome or Edge browsers to access these applications. I have a different Amazon application in my mobile. That is your mobile application. This is your web application. Okay, and at the same time, for maintaining Amazon stores, okay, or Amazon godowns, the people working over there have different set of applications. Okay, we do not have exposure onto those applications. Okay, there are hundreds of applications they use for managing their stores or for managing their godowns. Okay, how many number of goods that have entered this store for a given day, how many goods that are exited from the store. Okay, how many of them have dispatched on time, how many of them did not dispatch on time, how many employees did attend today, how many employees were on leave. All these activities are internally managed by their managers, and only those have access to those applications. Okay, we do not have the number of softwares in the globe. Okay, only 20% of the applications is something that everybody can use. Something like Amazon, Facebook, or Instagram is something that are visible to the regular people, but there are a lot of applications that are behind the screen. Okay, that means that are used by only a limited set of people. The radiologists use a set of different applications, doctors use different set of applications. Okay, something that we don't have access to. All those softwares are being developed by our software organizations, not just the Amazon website or IRCTC website. These are something that are most familiar ones, but there are 80% of the applications which we are not at all familiar with, but they cater 80% of the industry needs. Okay, so desktop applications is one such application which are used by the store manager in Amazon, who would handle the stores or godowns of the Amazon. Okay, so these applications are handled or can be automated through our TOSCA. Okay, which cannot be done by any other automation tool, be it Selenium, Playwright. Okay, be it Selenium, Playwright, or any other automation, any other trending automation tool. Okay, or Catalan. Any other trending automation tool cannot automate a desktop application. It does not have that feature to automate that desktop applications. Okay, but TOSCA does support it. Okay, okay, and then you have something called as record and playback feature. Okay, there are cases in which you can generate a test case just by recording and playing back the same set of test case. Okay, that would automatically generate test cases, that would automatically automate your application. Okay, you just have to add some changes to it. Okay, record and playback feature. Okay, there are a lot of benefits. I am only discussing on the few major benefits of Tosca over other automation tools. Okay, the one another major feature with respect to Tosca is that you can do the reporting part. Okay, you have hundreds of test cases. You have executed 20 to day 30 on the day 2, 50 on day 3. How are you going to project it to your management? You should have a good graphs. Okay, you should have proper mechanism to report that to your management. Okay, all that part, reporting part, will also be taken care by the Tosca. Okay, it has inbuilt uh, reports or graphs that would help you in projecting the reports or the summary of metrics that you have collected over a period of time. Okay, that can be projected to the management, and the management would be very much interested in that reporting part rather than on the down level details. Okay, so everything of that reporting part is internally taken care by the Tosca. Okay, you don't have to write any piece of code for that. You don't have to write anything. Okay, anything, any activity that you are performing on Tosca, you don't have to write a single piece of code. Okay, all those operations can be done with the existing modules that are already available with respect to Tosca. Okay, we call that as a module based framework. What is this module based framework is that you have some existing modules. Okay, I'll show you. Okay, I'll show you some basic ones. Okay, so these are all the standard modules that are readily available with respect to Tosca. Okay, I'll give you a basic one. Okay, so regarding these file operations, okay, in case if you want to open a file, okay, when it comes to Selenium, there are a lot of things that you would have to do. Okay, Selenium or Playwright or any other automation tool, be it on the programming language that you are using, JavaScript or Java or your Python. Okay, you would have to do a lot of things in preparing, setting up that activity. But when it comes to Tosca, in case if I want to rename a file or delete a file or check if the file is present or not, there are a lot of existing options that Tosca provides you. Okay, these are all the existing operations that Tosca provides you. In case if I want to read a file, I'll check if the file is present or not. It will give you options. It will give you options on to whether I can read the file or not, if I can delete a file or create a file. Okay, I'll drag and drop. Okay, majority of it is drag and drop. Let me uncheck this. Okay, majority of it is drag and drop. You don't have to write any code there. Okay, I am just dragging. Let's say I just wanted to check if the file is present or not. Okay, I've just dragged and dropped this model. We will discuss in our sessions more. Okay, and I will check if the directory, I'll check if the file is present or not. Okay, let me check. Okay, I have a file here. Okay, this is my location. This is my location. Okay, this is my location, and I am checking if the file desktop.txt is present or not. Okay. If I run this, it will give me whether my test case is pass or fail. Okay, this will give you an additional advantage that if you could see, I did not write a single piece of code here. What I did is I just wrote that I just gave the values. Okay, this is the location that I am looking for. Okay, and this is the file that I want to verify. Okay, if this file is present or not. Okay, if I run this, it will give me either pass or fail. Okay, if the file is present, it will be pass. If the file is not present, it will be fail. Okay, it is failed because we did not give the correct file name here. Okay, this way you will be able to figure out easily without writing any piece of code in Tosca. Okay, so this is what we call it as a module based framework. Okay, there are existing modules and we using which, okay, it says verification has failed because there is no such file, because we looked for desk TO without P. Okay, if I've entered the name correctly, the test case would have passed. This is a simple example of how you can verify a file is present or not in a location without even writing a single piece of code. So similarly, you will have lot of options with respect to files, folders, okay, and other Excel or PDF related activities. Okay, there are few things that we will have to scan. Okay, when it comes to, you don't have to write any XPaths as in you write in Selenium or any other automation tools. Okay, Tosca does offer you a lot of features which would help you identify the object immediately. Okay, you don't have to write XPath, you don't have to master in it. Okay, it has internal XScan that would help you find the objects also. Okay, so what we call this is a module based framework. Okay, what is a module based framework? You have some existing modules that would help you automate things. Okay, you just have to pass on the parameters onto it. Okay, you just have to pass the values into it that would help you automate things. Okay, this is the use of the standard modules or existing module based framework with respect to Tosca. This is something, so if you can correlate your Selenium with Tosca, all these operations is something that you have to write a piece of code for it. But Tosca does offer you with these without writing any code. Okay, you can automate an XML, you can validate a JSON file, you can automate a HTML page, you can automate database related, everything is readily available in Tosca. That's what makes Tosca more advanced than any other automation tools. Okay, okay, and coming to the curriculum on Tosca. So once we wrap up the manual testing, okay, and we are comfortable with the testing concepts, okay, how software is evolved, how testing is evolved from the software, okay, and what's the importance of this software testing or how it leads us to this automation path, then we will switch on to the Tosca topic. Okay, and initial days we would discuss on Tosca what different features that it possess. Okay, what are all these features. Okay, how I'll be able to integrate it with the requirements, what is this execution, okay, reporting, okay, what are different modules does it have, how configurations would help us. Okay, all this stuff we will discuss in the initial days. Then we will start creating our own modules. Okay, and then we will discuss on the test cases, how we will, it's not a single day session. Okay, but we would discuss it over a period of time. Okay, we would help you in setting up the Tosca, we would help you with the trial version for 60 days, then we will try to renew that. Okay, if we are still having questions, we will give support after 60 days. Okay, and then we will discuss more on the modules which are basic foundations of our Tosca. Once we deal with that, then we will discuss on the buffering, loops, and if else conditions. Okay, don't get worried with this if else conditions and loops, because it's not your traditional looping. Okay, we only have a while loop in Tosca. Okay, and Tosca itself suggests you not to use loopings unless it is mandatorily needed. we have a different concept called as repetitions in Tosca that would replace the traditional looping. Okay, and we will discuss more on it. Okay, but trust me, this is not coding. Okay, this is not coding. You don't have to write any syntaxes. Syntaxes are readily available with respect to Tosca. Okay, see, I am not writing any piece of code here. I am only copying the existing modules. Okay, and I am checking if it is needed or not. Okay, if it is needed, if I need this, if this condition is satisfied, then I'll proceed on to the other stuff. Else I'll proceed on. It is simple basic English. Okay, if you understand the basics of that part, then it wouldn't be any challenge. Okay, but you don't have to write a single piece of code there. Okay, then we will discuss more on the libraries. Okay, how you create your own libraries, how you create your own reusable test blocks and different string operations. Then we will focus on the database part and multi-user environment. That means in case if you are working in a project, okay, how does a multi-user environment work? Okay, what is this check-in, check-out? Okay, how other team members interact with you? Okay, all these activities we will try to simulate within the team. Okay, and then we have something called execution list or test events, which would help you with the more advanced topics like parallel execution or execution in decks or parallel execution they call it. Okay, you can run 10 different test cases at the same time. Okay, how Tosca helps you, we will discuss on those things. Okay, then we will see on the recovery scenarios or and more related to the recovery scenarios and cleanup scenarios that would help you with the event exception handling stuff. Okay, even here there is no coding. Okay, and then we will more focus on the Excel, how you handle Excel, how you handle a PDF. Okay, how you handle the API testing, how you link your requirements with respect to testing, what is a requirement, how Tosca handles these requirements. Okay, and then we will discuss more on the advanced topics like test data services, how you handle the test data in a project. Okay, and test case design, this is more of a parameterized testing. These are little advanced topics, but we will discuss once we are comfortable with the basics. We will focus more on the advanced topics with respect to Tosca. Okay, and we will help you support with the certification. Okay, we call this as TOSCA product consultant certification. This is free of cost, but you do have to finish 84 hours of learning, 84 to 85 hours of learning to attempt this certification. It is a summary of AS1, AS2, TDS1, and other automation tools and other automation certifications with respect to TOSCA. So we will help you achieve this certification as part of our curriculum. Okay, we will help you we'll guide you how to get this certification. Okay, and we will share you a list of interview questions. Okay, we do have a interview question bank that would help you, and we will discuss on these interview questions also. Okay, at the end of our sessions. Okay, this is something that we are planning to discuss. So anything else that you are looking for or any other questions that you have? Anybody? Any questions? We will give you frequent exercises to work upon, and we will review those exercises internally and see how we will be able to help you guys in overcoming the challenges with respect to TOSCA. Okay. So duration, it usually takes 40 days. Okay, but we will try to maximum wrap up everything by 45 days. Okay, 1 hour a day per day session, and we will be working only on the weekdays, Monday to Friday. Okay, it's not that we would wind up everything within 1 hour. If we have questions, if the topic is not complete, if we have more to discuss, we would extend the session. Okay, but we will try to have the session within 1 hour, and then it would be for 45 working days. Okay, the first initial 5 to 7 sessions would be solely on the manual testing. Okay, and then we will guide you on what different types of questions that you might expect with respect to your manual testing, and then we will focus more on the automation part with respect to TOSCA. So 5 sessions, 7 sessions with respect to manual, and then remaining 37 or 38 sessions would be with respect to TOSCA. Any questions? Anybody? ఏమన్నా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉంటే అడగొచ్చండి, నో ప్రాబ్లం. ఓకే, okay. Placements after completion of course, and by any chance we will help you in the interviews as well. Okay, we can discuss that in the offline with GBC folks. Okay, so once we start working on that, we would start preparing your resume. Okay, we will start building your portfolio, and then we will work on the placements parallelly. Okay, it's not that, because you have to gain the confidence initially for a couple of weeks with respect to TOSCA, and then by then we will start building your resume and start marketing your resume with respect to that profile. Okay, so please ping your details in the chat window, your name and your phone number, so that people will reach out, GBC folks would reach out to you. Okay, and present TOSCA calls. Okay, the market has been steady for the past 1.5 month. Okay, it's a holiday season. Okay, most of the projects would have not finalized until after second week of January. Okay, by the time we finish and roll out our batch 3, we are expecting more calls in the month of March, because that is when the software industry would pick up. Okay, for the last 1.5 month the calls have been steady. There's no doubt that there are no calls. Okay, there are calls for the TOSCA profiles, but they are looking for proficient people. Okay, they are looking for people who have better knowledge with respect to TOSCA. Okay, so the market would improve more in the first week of March, but we did receive calls in the last week of January as well. Okay, there are people who have attended from our GBC team for TOSCA interviews. Okay, and we are waiting for their feedback from the interviewers. Okay, there are multiple trends that are going on with respect to AI. Okay, so how Tosca is coping up with that is they have something called as Vision AI. Okay, it's a new feature which none of the automation tools has, that would help you identify the objects. Okay, automation is 50 percentage of it is identification of objects or generating the test cases. Okay, both these things are done through something called as Vision AI. Okay, so we would discuss about Vision AI. It's an internal feature of Tosca that would help you integrate the AI features with respect to Tosca automation tool. Okay, so we will discuss more on that AI features in Tosca. Okay.
Hi, Shashi.
Sorry.
Hello, Shashi.
Yes, Ganesh.
Sir, I have a small question.
Yes.
Again, same repeating question. Is it good to move to Tosca from Selenium?
See, if you are looking for less trouble when automating the application, then I would suggest you to go for Tosca. Okay, because
Actually, I was learned that Selenium course by from last 2 months.
Mhm,
So I'm entering the in testing recently.
mhm,
After entering into that, I'm not understanding that half of the knowledge. Okay, it was went smoothly, but later I heard this Tosca regarding Tosca. There is no coding like that.
mhm.
So I want to start my career in this by Tosca only. Choosing this Tosca. Is it a good to move like or not like that? I am asking.
No, it is always a good move to opt for Tosca, because the amount of effort you are spending with respect to coding. Okay, if you are good with coding, okay, then I would suggest you to go for any automation tool, not just Selenium. Okay, Selenium is
Okay.
just a base. Okay, but if you are good with automation, I would suggest you to go with any other automation tool. But if you have trouble in understanding these coding concepts, okay, and there are a lot of limitations if you are looking for specific job roles. Okay, if you are looking for something with respect to manual and automation, then I would suggest you to go for Tosca, because it has both. You can work manually, and at the same time you can use your automation scripts to reduce your manual effort. Okay, industry is looking more towards that kind of approach. Okay, they don't want only automation testers, they want both manual testers who can automate as well, because you need functional language, functional understanding of the application. Without the functional understanding of the application, you would never be able to identify the issues in that application. Okay, so the functional knowledge or functional application testers will have an additional advantage with this Tosca. Okay, so it is always a good move, Ganesh, to move towards Tosca. I would suggest to move towards Tosca.
Thank you, Shashi.
I'll try. I'll try to explain the other side of the story as well. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, sure.
let's say if a project or client wants to spend some amount on the testing team. Okay, if it hires if it hires automation testers, they are costly. Okay, they are costly. Okay, they demand more. Okay, but when it can spend the same amount of money on the tool rather than on the employees, because we cannot guarantee the employee would stay back for 2 or 3 years. But if you have the tool, even your manual testers can make use of that tool. Okay, so the industry or the organization is willing to pay for the tool rather than paying the individuals. Okay, if the individual moves out of the organization, then there is no point in you depending on the individual. if you have a tool, if you are spending amount on the tool, anybody, any manual tester can go ahead and automate that stuff, right? Then there's no point in you spending more on that. So people are, industry is tilting towards this non-coding or codeless automation.
Thank you, Sachin.
Yeah. Please ping your name and phone number in the chat window, okay, so that our team would reach out to you, okay. And you have the number, okay, you have the number over here, okay. Do you cover any SAP project testing? Currently, we are covering the web UI, API, PDF, database, and others. But we will try to cover the SAP, a sample SAP application as well, Sudhir or Samantha. If there are no questions, I think we can wind up the session. Please ping your name and phone number in the chat window so that our folks will reach out to you. The batch starts Monday, next Monday, okay, 2nd of February. Okay, we will inform you about the timings. Okay.